Hi everyone, I'm going to present on tools and approaches for positive capacity development outcomes. My name is Anastasia Wahome. I'm the Science and Data Lead for Severe Eastern and Southern Africa at the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development, RCMRD. Severe Eastern and Southern Africa aims at improving use of Earth observation data for informed decision making, improving the capacity of technical experts and other stakeholders through needs-based development of tailor-made tools and applications and capacity building. We also aim at creating awareness about the value of Earth observation, tools and services. Now, I'm going to give this presentation based on the following outline. I'll look at scope and perspectives. I also look at samples, that is sample approaches and methods, tools and activities, and extended outcomes. And I will also give 2 case studies, how we have applied capacity building using those tools and approaches. Now, looking at the scope, the first one is, of course, within our AfriGeo region. One of the objectives of AfriGeo is effective use of Earth observations for responding to societal challenges and addressing sustainable development issues for geo members and participating organizations. That means increasing technical and human capacity. We have RCMRD, whose core function and one of its strategic results is training and capacity building in geoinformation and basic information technology. And Severe Eastern and Southern Africa, whose intermediate result too is improving capacity of analysts and decision makers to use Earth observation information and geospatial information technologies. Also, I'll be looking at the geo flagships, in this case GeoGlam, which we have worked with extensively in the recent past. And it also looks at capacity development, mainly looking at best practices and regional network coordination. And I've also looked at the CEO's working group on capacity building and data democracy. They also have a function of providing capacity, education, and training through virtual trainings and workshops, and we've had a chance to work with them also within the Africa region. Now, when you look at perspectives of co-designing, in this session we are talking about co-designing of capacity development. What comes to mind? It's creating, developing, and implementing with stakeholders. It has to be the whole process, that's starting from needs identification, design, implementation, as well as monitoring, evaluation, and learning. And this ensures that the results meet the needs and are reusable. Now, co-designing has different aspects. There's the issue of working with the stakeholders and the users. There's the issue of sharing and learning, because not everybody knows everything. You need to collaborate with other institutions. No single institution at all times will have everything that's required. Sometimes you need to create partnerships so that we are able to offer this capacity building in an effective way. And some of those partnerships, sometimes we realize that they need to last, meaning that we need to do agreements such as MOU to ensure commitment and sustainability. And also co-funding. When you look at these partnerships, some of them, it's not just in the actual offering of the training, but offering the resources that are very much required for the training. So this is not exhaustive, but these are some of the issues that come into play when you look at co-designing of capacity building activities. Now, we've been talking about co-designing means that whoever is offering the training and the person who is being trained need to be working together. These are our users, and we need to engage them. Why? Because we need to understand their training needs. What are the skills and knowledge gaps do they have? What are the existing efforts that exist within their areas of work or within themselves that are, maybe they are receiving other trainings that are addressing the same identified needs? How do we ensure that the efforts that we are going to put in place for those trainings are effective and non-repetitive? Because we do not want to duplicate efforts and waste funds and resources. And also, after we will be able to identify specific gaps and opportunities to address those needs. For example, participants might know how to use remote sensing maybe to monitor forest cover. But you know that when you're monitoring forest, there is, for example, an aspect of biomass estimation. Maybe that's what they are lacking. How do we zero in on those specific gaps and opportunities? Now, many of the training participants that we work with, they come from institutions. And these institutions, based on their on whatever they have, how they do their business, could be either limiting or enhancing the use of the training that these participants acquire. So doing capacity assessments for institutions is something else that we've also seen as a very important and critical element in terms of user engagement. And this helps us to assess the level of competency for the institutions, understand the relevance of geospatial data and the training that you're offering into their decision-making processes to make sure that it's more effective. How is it going to be sustainable, for example? And how do we appropriately target the skills building? Is it at the regional level, national, or subnational level? And are there opportunities, for example, to ensure that these institutions can continue to get this capacity maybe from local universities or other training institutions by developing new curriculum or improving the one that's already existing? And also being able to look at what are the appropriate or the most preferred methods of training. We've seen some prefer co-development, others training of trainers, because maybe the staff that need to get the skills are many, the resources are not enough, so train a few and they go and train others. Or is it on-job training? Something is already ongoing, but you acquire the skills as the job continues. And also, there are different, the trainings could be targeted to different types of users. Some are technical, others are decision makers. The language or the content could be different based on who the audience is. And also the issue of languages. There are some, at some points, who require translation, and this is also an important aspect, considering, for example, within Africa, we have English speaking and French, and a few countries that have Portuguese as their national languages. Now, looking at the sample approaches that we have used within the Africa region, looking at needs assessment, Survey Eastern and Southern Africa in the year 2016 conducted needs assessment for various thematic groups. This was in form of workshops. We did follow-up user engagements and consultations, and we were able to identify training needs within various institutions and stakeholders. And RCMRD also does needs assessment within its member countries, which are 20 of them within the Eastern and Southern African region. When you design together and develop a service, for example, for training, one of the documents that we use is called a training definition document. And it has details about a particular training, be it project-based. For example, there's a project that's happening and people need to be trained on the tools that have been developed. Exactly what is going to be trained, what are the resources that are required, who are the participants, and what are the requisites that they need to have. And by doing this together with the users, we're able to be more effective and ensure that their new skills and knowledge is acquired, but also operationalized. That is to be actively used within the institution. And also monitoring, evaluation, and learning. We don't just want to train, but before we train, we do assessments on what the participants have already, because we don't want to repeat, and also what is it that they expect, so that whatever training that's being given is targeted at specific expected outcomes. And also in terms of institutional capacity assessments, this gives a baseline that a post-training survey can evaluate whether there was a change from what was there before. And this also helps us to do targeted follow-up trainings, knowing exactly where the skills and knowledge that we imparted earlier are being used and how we can improve what is already happening. Now, we have another approach, mentorship, and these are some of the activities we have under these are Space Challenge, boot camps, and hackathons. Now, these ones, other than offering new skills and knowledge to the participants, they also increase awareness on the use and the value of Earth observation data, as well as give motivation and guidance to the participants. And another aspect is partnerships and collaborations. You realize, like I said, no institution has everything in terms of knowledge, the skills, the resources, and sometimes it's important to create synergies and add value. And some of the tools are data sharing agreements and MOUs, and these ones help to ensure that these partnerships and collaborations last and are sustainable. Now I'll go into the case studies, and the first one is the regional and the national crop monitors. This one is a flagship of GEO, through the GeoGlam flagship. And within the East Africa region, we have the University of Maryland that had already started developing national crop monitors for Tanzania and Uganda. And partnering with NASA Harvest and RCMRD, the Ministry of Agriculture in Kenya, and ICPAC, which works within the IGAD region, we were able to design and do a joint training and implementation for IGAD countries' technical representatives. And thereafter, together with ICPAC, co-developed the first regional crop monitor for the IGAD region. And this crop monitor is not only operational at the moment, but it's being disseminated at the quarterly Greater Horn of Africa Climate Outlook Forum. Now, the GACOF previously was just doing climate outlooks, but has since then incorporated an agricultural outlook, and the regional crop monitor is one of the tools that's being used. And at the national level, we have Kenya that came on board and is currently producing a national crop monitor every month. And this has helped the ministry to even be able to look at food security outlooks, especially even at this time of the COVID-19, when food security has become such a critical issue. And we also have Rwanda, which is in the process of operationalization. We have offered capacity building to them. And what we usually do with the two countries, what we've done with the two countries, Kenya and Rwanda, is not just give training to the technical experts who do these, who develop the crop monitors, but also do what we call a co-development. So we co-develop the crop monitors together after offering the basic training, so that by the time they're operationalizing the bulletins, they are doing it themselves. And this has proved to be a very effective way, and we are happy to say that Ethiopia is also looking forward to do their national crop monitor. Now, I'll also look at the mentorships, and the reason why I decided on this is because this is one area that probably not many people are doing, but I think giving motivation to young minds and people who are not very well aware of the value of Earth observation data has shown that it's not because they can't do it, it's because sometimes they do not know. So recently we participated as RCMRD and AfriGeo in the Kampala Inspire Hackathon that was held virtually after the COVID-19 situation. And the key topics were agriculture, environmental sustainability, and others. And what we did was to mentor one of the projects that was looking at the desert locust monitoring, and we assisted them on how they can access the Earth observation data, how to use it. And we're happy to report that the group that was being mentored by RCMRD won the challenge. RCMRD Space Challenge has been going on for the last 2 years. It's done by RCMRD together with Savia Eastern and Southern Africa. What we do is mentor primary and secondary school students in the use of geospatial data and tools, and they are supposed to collect data within their schools, weather data, and do basic mapping, and their projects are supposed to be beneficial to their communities. And we also train teachers on basics of GIS and Earth observation so that they're able to guide the children as they develop their projects. Then they come for the challenge and do a competition. And one of the most positive outcomes is one of the schools in Mombasa, which is a malaria-prone area, were able to design a project where they monitor different types of mosquito larvae. And this has helped the community there and the institution that will deal with malaria control to design better measures for controlling the spread of mosquitoes. And the other one is the Y side, that's Women in Science Girls Team Camp. We participated as part of NASA, and this one is targeted to girls in high school, where they come together and learn new skills, as well as get motivation and guidance on use of Earth observation data by NASA, as well as other technologies. And some of the partners there Gallup and U.S. Department of State Office of Global Partnerships, and you have private companies such as Intel, Google, Millennium Challenge Corporation, and Microsoft. So these are areas where we've seen good outreach, creation of awareness, and opportunity for growth, especially for the high school kids and the girls. So I hope that's what I have for today, and we are looking forward to even improve and get better in our co-designing of training activities and ensuring that not only skills are improved, but whatever skills are acquired are put into proper use. Thank you very much.